Yeah, so I've been making games for a long time, and I've been in good environments and tried to help make good environments, and I've been in bad environments and tried to fix those. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about living in the insanity of the game industry. As John said, I've been making games for a long time. Started at Origin in '92. Worked at tons of places. At Origin / Electronic Arts, I was an employee of a publisher. I've been an outside developer. I've run 3 studios. I've worked as an independent contractor with my company, Critical Mass Interactive. I was a kind of an outsourced solutions provider, and I help with some colleges and universities, and I'm extremely blessed to have worked with some amazing people over the years. I think I probably worked with I've had my hands on something like 250 some odd projects over the years, most of them short bursts while I'm working at Critical Mass, but some bigger ones. And when you work as a contractor, you get to see the inside of the different studios and how things work and how things don't work. And it really doesn't take too long to find out that that studio is effed or that studio is working. One of the ways you can tell, as this kind of part of what I want to talk about, is if you go into a studio and people are laughing, that's a good sign. If you go into a studio and no one is laughing, that's obviously bad. So yeah, our industry's crazy. We do this because we love it, not because it's the most sensible thing in the world. I think you guys that are doing this would probably already go ahead and agree with that. Some crazy is good, some crazy is bad. Okay, so when I first started thinking about doing this, I wanted to talk about crunch time and how unhealthy it was for you, and it affects your home life and your friends, et cetera, and I didn't want to go that far because it looked like I was going to have to write a research paper on it, and a lot of the studies were boring as hell. So this is the kind of stuff I was thinking about, but I do have links, and I'll get this thing to you guys. Chris Douglas, and he was here earlier, he helped me put together a lot of this stuff, and he shared a lot of the things that when he was in a toxic environment, he went and did a whole bunch of research to try to make his environment better. So we'll share that with you. I was also going to sit around and talk to you guys about how to get help and that kind of stuff, and maybe one day I'll do a kind of a big therapy session and bring up some counselors, and I'm not joking because this is serious as hell. But you guys know there are resources out there to get help. Yeah, it really just kind of boils down to the video game industry, and I know lots of others can be toxic, and crunch is only one part of it. So part of this, we're going to have a little fun, and I want you guys to try to pay attention and see what kind of problems that you guys have had before. The first thing I found out when I was thinking about getting in the industry, I heard about crunch. Crunch was this big evil thing, and it can be. And people were working just insane hours at Origin, and I knew that was happening, so that helped me a lot. So I knew that it was going to be bad. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have family in town, really. I had some friends. Used to have them, and yeah, it's funny. But when I started working at Origin, I was having such a great time working and making these awesome games that I kind of forgot about life. And so when we finish a project, I'd start getting back in with my friends and hanging out with them, and then the project would jump back into crazy mode, and then those friends went away. And a couple of times after that, they were like, hey, when are you gonna disappear again? And that's bad if you guys haven't figured that out. And if you haven't, you might be. But the worst enemy really is a toxic development environment. I talked about when I was doing all this crunch, I was having a good time working with fun people. But if you're in a bad environment, it's miserable, and it will destroy your life. Okay, so I wanted to get this crunch stuff out of the way. So Merriam-Webster. Don't you like it when people do little definition things? Oh, the definition of this. Basically, it's kind of from a game. The decisive moment or decisive action is needed, and it's kind of like, something you would assume is kind of quick. I looked on, what's this called? Urban Dictionary, and I kind of like this one a lot better. Oh, yeah, you can read all that stuff. That's good. It looks like crap on this thing. The interval time immediately before a project is due, when it becomes apparent that the schedule has slipped. And my favorite part is that everyone was able to delude themselves that the schedule hadn't shipped. Because that's the reality of it. And those 2 quotes at the bottom they were actually on Urban Dictionary, except I was surprised it said freaking hate crunch time. There's so many bad stuff out there. So I kind of think there are two kinds of crunches. I think there is a little bit of healthy crunch. I think that's okay. It gets the team kind of to gel together. And obviously when you're making something that's on the edge of technology and it's art and it's commercial art, there's going to be some craziness. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of it, but if your company's doing well, they'll figure out a way to get you some comp time so you can actually, make up for it, hopefully with your family and friends, if you still have any that are not in the building with you. And of course, the unhealthy type of you guys get it. And then when you hit a milestone, you get more work to go to the next milestone. Okay, so this is the meat of what I want to talk about. I don't know how much time I have left, so I'm going to have to probably burn through this. I want you guys to think about where you work now and where you have worked, because we're going to talk about whether you actually work in a toxic dev environment. Crunch is just one of the signs. We're gonna go through kind of like my horrible experiences over the last 20 years, and some of them were even within good places. Kind of think of this as something that you see in Cosmo. Is your boyfriend cheating on you or something to that effect? Keep track of your own score, and if you want to, you can keep two different scores. One is have I ever encountered this, and the second one, keep track of am I encountering this right now. So just keep a number at the end. I've kind of got a little chart. I'm gonna see if your boyfriend is in fact cheating on you. Okay, so I broke this into sections. So the first one is toxic budgeting or toxic finances. I know you guys can read this. I can't speak as extemporaneously about it as I'd like to. Basically, budgeting without asking the team. That's pathetic. You wind up with people that they had to underbid a project so they can actually get the work, and then of course you pay for it. That's kind of rolls into the company won't write an expense check, so they won't pay somebody to do work that may take 5 hours on the side by a professional. They're like, no, you just go ahead and do it. Work a little harder. Don't you know how to install an air conditioner? My favorite one has got to be that the company's going to fail if everybody doesn't pull together, and that's just a load of crap because if you haven't got the funding, that's not the staff's problem. Okay, so staffing issues. A lot of this has to do also with funding. You've got crazy project goals, not enough people. If you haven't hired people that know what they're doing, you're going to have a bunch of people that are kids essentially, or very young, wet behind the ears, and they're going to make a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided by having a few experienced people. Too many people, too many hats. Too few people, too many hats. Poorly planned projects with no job descriptions. Nobody knows exactly who's doing what and who's actually responsible for it. Some additional staffing issues. There's always a divide between the people that have families and that don't have families. It's the truth. I know you guys can probably look around in your companies and think about that, but people that are single, they work longer, and the people that have families, they don't, because otherwise they won't have a family, so they're going to leave, and eventually in an unhealthy place, in unhealthy places, there actually is resentment that builds. You can look around and you can see if your studio has been staffed with a bunch of people that are single. I know HR people and people that are in hiring positions, they'll ask questions like, is that guy single, or does he have a family in town? What's going on? And they actually hire people that are single because they want them to work themselves to death. What's that? Are you that hiring manager? No, I'm just kidding. Just playing. Do some research on these places and see if they got a crazy turnover rate. If they're not actually trying to learn something from people that are leaving, that's bad. Overtime with no notice, surprises, and yeah. So scheduling. A lot of these things have slight overlap. So if you don't know what your milestones are, that's bad. Somebody arbitrarily picks a ship date for you out of thin air. That's nothing to do with reality or what the necessity is. That's bad. People surprising you with the product demo. Oh yeah, you just do this demo, no problem. It's only going to take a couple of weeks, and then we'll just get right back on the project. It's like, nope, because basically that's another one of those management doesn't have any idea how things work. And then a couple of my favorites are the management doesn't have any idea how many people are actually working, how many hours. And of course, the worst one with the Teflon covered or Teflon plated employees. There's no accountability in the tasks they're doing. No matter how many times they say they're going to get it done, they never do, and you can't fire them. More of the same kind of thing. Doesn't matter how well you do your job. It just matters if you're in the building a certain number of hours. You can't do your own job because they keep throwing a bunch of junk at you. Nobody gets to take a vacation, no comp time whatsoever, no matter how much work you do, endless overtime. Yeah, I had to leave that in there because crunches everywhere you look. Bad project management, toxic project management. There's no feature list, or it's absolutely insane. Everybody works on a whole bunch of different things, none of them effectively. There's no clear plan for completion. Work harder. Don't work smarter. We don't even know what it is we want you to do, but we want you to be working over the weekend. Another classic, you get managers that they signed a contract and they have no idea how to make this stuff. They don't know who to hire, and so they figure that it'll just happen. Scope creep is a classic. Design by committee, please. Somebody's got to be in charge, and somebody has to say no. Micromanagement kind of fits into that category, but I think we've all been micromanaged here and there. There's probably no one that's not had a boss that's kind of walked in and said, oh, my favorite, I'll give you a story. I had a boss one time that didn't like the way my demo played, and so he was like, we got to have more explosions. So I completely changed everything to have as many explosions as you could possibly want in the game, and I was like, is that what you want? He's like, yeah, that's fantastic. I'm like, okay, well, you have to go back and take all of the prequels to this entire game series. It was Wing Commander. And he's like, you need to make spaceships so they blow up real fast. And I was like, I'll do it for you. And we made it, so he wanted it. And I was like, okay, now go tell the millions of people that have bought Wing Commanders that they were stupid, and we'll just go that way. He's freaking doing my demo. Couldn't believe it. Sorry. Yeah, I got lots of scars. If your bosses don't take time to celebrate milestones, you just move from one task to another. Oh, we hit it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. That's bad. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, my favorite is the one where they only tell you when you're doing a bad job, and they never say thank you or anything else. Like, well, you're doing your job. Why should I say thanks? That actually came out of one of my boss's mouths. Probably more than one boss, but I remember one in particular. Product support, if you don't hire QA until the last possible minute, or maybe even not at all, and just expect the team to do it, pathetic. Customer service, nobody's even thought about these problems. Like, this bug's going to be in there, but, no big deal. It's like, dude, seriously. And nowadays, if you don't have a community management plan, I've spoken for more than 10 minutes. Okay, you could wiggle that thing at me. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna speed up. Okay. Bunch of more stuff, nepotism, people that want you to like them, demanding respect, management isn't around. Oh yeah, the car value in the parking lot, that's a classic. This just goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm sorry about that. We'll just do this last one, and then we're gonna do this self-assessment. I hope you're counting still. Don't bother cleaning up, or don't bother hiring a maid, because we'll just clean it up yourselves, because I'm not gonna do it. Management goes to lunch with their favorite peoples, and they pay for it, or the company pays for it. Management leaves for vacations, everybody else stays in the office. Management writes super vague emails that are like 3 words long and expect you to read their minds. Aha. Yeah, I bet that. Is that a ding everywhere for that one? Okay, so I figured I'd come up with a little self-assessment. So I hope you've been keeping track. That box of jellyfish is actually the worst, most poisonous thing. I just found that out today. Anybody at garden snake level? Well, I've got a couple. All right, scorpions. Oh man, there's a bunch of people who haven't raised their hand. Brazilian wandering spiders. Okay, just that one. All right, death stalker scorpions. Oh no. All right, box jellyfish. Do what? Okay, yeah, all of the ones you've ever had. Let's start with all the way to the box jellyfishes. We got those? I am so sorry for you guys. It sucks. Yeah, I know. I don't blame you, Steve. Okay, how many death stalkers do we have out there? Only one? Come on. Spiders? Man. Dude, I forgot so much stuff. I knew I only had 10 minutes. I've already blown 20, I'm sure. All right, how many garden snakes? Of all of your jobs, you've had 1? 2 garden snake jobs? I'm telling you, some of you guys didn't count, because there's no way you've not had these kind of things. Okay, so on here, you guys can get this thing. I've found all sorts of links for help, mental health, quizzes to see if you're being bullied at work. If you want to check out some legal ramifications, you can dig that stuff. There's books that are awesome. Chris Douglas gave me all these links on Crunch, so if you want to try to convince somebody that they're wasting their money and going to create a crappy product. And that's it. Sorry I took a little more. Hope your life is better than mine.